Chapter 2: Jharwahal. The car was a 1935 Rolls-Royce Phantom II, dark green with tan leather seats, the scent of saddle soap clinging to the interior. Poirot, tucked neatly into the rear, took note of everything: the smooth purr of the engine, the quiet competence of the driver, and the way his guide, Nikhil Raj, sat upright, composed, not speaking unless addressed. They drove for hours. Bombay faded quickly. The red-tile roofs gave way to flat plains and dusty roads. Mango trees lined the horizon. Villages flickered past, children in ochre tunics waving from doorways, cows dozing in patches of shade, temple bells sounding softly in the distance. Poirot said little. His gaze wandered. The land, he thought, was not quiet, it only pretended to be. Beneath the calm was movement. Life. And, perhaps, something older than either. It was nearly dusk when the car reached a private railway siding. There, a single luxurious carriage awaited, gleaming like a polished mirror. No markings, no visible attendants.
"From here, we take the Royal Line to Jharwahal,"
said Nikhil. The train itself was a marvel of discretion. Polished teak interiors, thick velvet drapes, cushions embroidered with peacocks. Poirot was shown to a private compartment with every amenity: a writing desk, fresh linen, a silver bell for service. He freshened himself with lemon-scented water, changed into his evening coat, and returned to the central saloon, where a small dinner had been laid. They dined in silence for the first course, mulligatawny soup and a delicate dish of stewed okra. Poirot took a sip of water, then turned his gaze to Nikhil, who sat opposite with perfect posture.
"You are, monsieur, not merely a guide.
"I serve His Highness, in whatever capacity is needed."
A diplomat, then, or a soldier?"
Nikhil allowed a faint smile.
"Both. Neither. In Jharwahal, the lines are not always distinct."
Poirot considered this.
"And what exactly, monsieur, am I being called to address?"
There was a pause.
"We have had misfortunes.
Ah, the letter hinted at as much.
3 deaths in 3 months. None explainable by medicine. No external injuries. No cause but collapse. Sudden. Inexplicable.
Murder?
We do not know.
And the victims?
The Maharaja's cousin, his youngest wife, and a Brahman scholar."
Poirot raised his brows.
A peculiar combination.
The cousin died in the library. Collapsed while reading. The wife died in her garden, the same hour. The scholar in the temple, a fortnight later.
Simultaneous deaths. That is not murder. That is orchestration.
Nikhil said nothing.
And yet, you do not say murder.
In Jharwahal, not all things are named so easily.
They finished the meal in near silence. Later, Poirot stood alone at the observation window, watching the desert unfold beneath the stars. The land rolled past in long, gold-smeared shadows. Occasionally, the silhouette of a camel drifted across the horizon. In the distance, the dark outline of a fort rose like a buried memory. He could not shake the feeling that he was being watched. They arrived at the palace before dawn. Poirot had expected something grand, something picturesque. But what he saw instead was older. Not in the sense of mere years, but in the way of things that had been standing long enough to forget who built them. The palace of Jharwahal sat atop a stone outcrop, its domes and towers rising from the cliffs like the fingers of a sleeping giant. Its walls were sandstone and marble, cracked in places, but magnificent still. Ornate latticework covered every window. On the parapets, guards stood motionless, dressed in the scarlet and gold of royal service. As the train pulled into a shaded station beneath the main gates, Poirot stepped down into stillness. No crowds. No fanfare. A single white peacock strutted across the platform and disappeared into shadow. Inside, the palace was a study in contrast. Rich carpets from Persia and Tibet lay across stone floors. Chandeliers of Venetian glass hung from ancient rafters. Paintings, some cracked, some fading, lined the halls, their subjects half obscured by time, warriors in plumed turbans, women in translucent silks, and gods whose names Poirot did not know. He was shown to a guest suite. It was cool, spacious, and smelled faintly of jasmine and old paper. There were no electric lights, only oil lamps in bronze stands. A carved writing desk stood near a window that overlooked the central courtyard. He unpacked slowly, methodically. When he finished, he examined the room once more, not as a guest, but as a detective. The windows locked from the inside. The wardrobe creaked slightly when opened. There was a faint crack in the baseboard behind the bed. Poirot nodded to himself.
Always observe. Always begin with what is ordinary, so that you may recognize what is not.
An hour later, he was summoned to meet the Maharaja. He was led through a long corridor whose walls were inlaid with lapis lazuli and malachite. The guards here were different, older, slower, but with eyes like flint. They bowed but did not smile. The Maharaja Bimalendra Singh was not what Poirot expected. He was seated not on a throne, but in a large armchair beneath a fan. He was perhaps 70, with silver-white hair and a face carved with lines of pride, sorrow, and stubborn endurance. He wore a simple kirtle of ivory silk, no jewelry save for a ring with a single ruby. He did not rise when Poirot entered. He only gestured to a seat opposite.
Monsieur Poirot, you have come far.
Indeed, Highness.
I do not care for foreign detectives, but I am told you are different.
I am not easily deceived.
Poirot said, bowing slightly. The Maharaja's eyes narrowed.
Then you will soon be either my salvation or my greatest disappointment.
He waved a hand.
You will meet my household. You will ask your questions. But be careful, Monsieur Poirot. Jharwahal is a place of mirrors. Look too deeply, and you may see yourself.
Then I shall try not to blink.